Welcome to Burning the Red Shirts. Myself, Chris Kay, here with Andrew Katz. We took last week off to focus and game plan for the conference championship weekend, and now we're back to discuss Army Navy for 60 full minutes. So strap in, everybody. We're doing.
Hold up. So there's a triumvirate of events that Saturday. Can you name all three? It's not just Army Navy. There's three things going on.
It's got to be. Is there like the art? Is it like the high school All-American game? One of them.
Army Navy. At what time? 3:30 probably.
Yeah, like 2:30 or 3:30. Yeah.
Heisman.
Of course.
And then I was gonna tweet about it, but showed restraint. A bowl game that night. That's the South Alabama Western Michigan game is that night.
No, it is that night. Wow.
That is like truly embracing degeneracy, putting a bowl game that night.
That's typically the weekend we get it, though, or no?
No, we don't get. So we usually have I believe we usually have like a full week between Heisman ceremony, Army Navy, and
I think you're definitely right. You're definitely right.
Like that. The earliest we usually get is like the following Friday, and then we get a full buffet of like 6 games that Saturday after Army Navy. But having one that night is revolutionary. The paradigm is shifting.
Yeah, that Saturday is typically like the 5 or 6 gamer capped off with the New Orleans Bowl.
Yes.
Of course. But the Raging Cajuns always are in.
Of course.
I have to ask, are you wearing light green nail polish?
Oh, yeah. I stopped by the Amelia May Katz salon this weekend or last night, and she gave me she let me pick my color and everything, so we're all set.
Nice. I mean, hey, why not, right?
When Camden starts to get into that, I'm sure you'll be stopping by the salon as well.
Well, it's a good color for you, by the way. Looks nice.
Thank you.
At least it's not like black. She's not in her emo stage yet, so that's good. It's coming, but it's not there yet. So Army Navy, do you have any thoughts? I think the thing for me is like, I think it's just so funny that, like you said, like there's a bowl game that night.
Yeah,
they play after they won their conference championship and then are playing another team in the conference. Like, to me, it's just a hilarious way of doing things, but it's great.
Yeah, I'm hoping both teams like come out of it healthy, because I've already bet both of them in their bowl games. I bet Army against Marshall -7.5, and then Navy like +9 and money line. But with bowl games, I don't get involved with like spreads and totals at all during the CFB season, but I do a little bit more with bowl games. One, because I'm bored, and two,
it's also like you're betting players.
Yeah, I'll largely, I won't leave them open up until the game, but there's like good arbitrage opportunities, right? Because there's so much line movement. Like, there were spreads and totals that were like 4 or 5 points different between books yesterday, and like with guys opting out, transferring and stuff, like you see crazy shifts. So it's like just a good opportunity to get ahead of stuff, like as opposed to like a normal week, you don't really see much of that.
This is like 2 to 3 years ago when people were doing bowl pick'ems, and this type of stuff was like really prevalent. Like, just started with like guys opting out, and you would see a bowl pick'em and you'd have to pick against the spread, and it would be like from December 9th, but like the games don't start till the 20th or something, right? And then you're getting like 8 or 10 point shifts. And then you're just picking based off of like the crazy line movement. That makes sense. You got some good luck there, because obviously, I mean, we all figured, right, the Huff stuff was going to happen, him leaving. And then also Braylon Braxton is in the portal now too.
So it's not just that one. That's I bet Army twice. Everything I've made a bunch of like spread and total bets. Everything else I've only bet once, but Army I bet twice, because it seems like that Marshall's a good candidate to like really not be representative of all of what they were a week ago. Like, it's not just Braxton, who, by the way, how is he so good? Like,
I saw he was undefeated as a starter, and I was like, no, that can't
like be. But Stone Earl is also in the portal, who's not good, but now it's Cole Pennington time, and I don't know. They've got like AJ Turner's in the portal, that dude Montgomery, a receiver, and that is just as of today. I think we're going to see more. I think that roster is going to be in bad shape. Whereas with Army, right? You really
Nobody's
don't have to
going
worry.
anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, no one's going anywhere. It's just like get through the Navy game healthy, and then let Daly run for 5 scores on Marshall, and I don't think we'll have a problem covering the 7.5.
Yeah, if you have to think like once there's a couple deciding things that really move like the portal for teams. It's the coach, obviously, and I think quarterback. Like if your quarterback leaves and you're a receiver, you're like, maybe I'm leaving anyway. Like I'm joining and getting in the portal too. Especially if you have like nothing behind them, it's like, why would I stay here? Type of thing. It's literally insane, and I'm not negative or mad about it. The portal is just wild.
It's great.
Everybody's going into the portal, and like,
yeah.
How much does it even matter to have like a great G5 player? Because they're just going to move.
I know it sucks.
And then what sucks is that everything is so based on scheme and system that like, sure, Fluff Bothwell is awesome, but like, if he just makes the wrong choice, then you could go from a guy that. Where would you have picked Fluff next year in a best ball league if he was at South Alabama still?
Are we saying Bullock's gone?
Yeah, we're gonna say that he's like we go into April and he's like the guy. He's like presumed guy.
7th, 8th round.
So that's fairly high. But now if you look at like where if he were to go to like LSU, Auburn, Ole Miss, now you're like, there is a level of like these guys moving up. Like I am concerned with a lot of these star G5 players like a Fluff that we've only seen 1 year of, and it's like he could be very good. He could also just be like very good for G5, and then he goes to the SEC, which I mean, I don't know if you heard about this, Andrew. The strength of schedule in the SEC is just incredible.
I don't want to play that. I don't want to have this conversation.
We're not having that conversation. Don't worry.
Do you think
I already egged people on with my Mississippi State?
I saw. Gio tweeted out like some gif of just like thinking about like what should I do type deal. Do you think he's out?
I mean, Gio should be out. I feel like Gio's a guy that can get a good spot, like a P5, a P4 for sure. Like if Darian Mensah can go P4, then he's going to go P4. And I think everybody presumes or assumes that Mensah is going to go to like a fairly big school.
I think Gio stays.
You hope Gio stays.
I hope Gio stays.
Yeah, that's the key there. The key word there is hope. Yeah. I mean, why not? Like, just don't make a bad decision. Just don't go to like freaking battle it out with another guy that transfers in. What do you think about this, Jacob? We're all over the place. Where do you think Jacob Zeno? Like, apparently he's like really looking at Texas A&M. That's like the wildest thing to me, right? But I was briefly talking with Nate about it in Slack. Like, if he's going just to like compete for the spot, then I think that's cool. But he's not going to start, is he?
No, he's just getting a bag,
getting $100K and calling it a day.
Few hundred probably.
What about
but that's a good example. So one of the things I'm trying to like think about just reflecting back on this year and like takeaways and stuff like that. I think that a takeaway from the era that we are in this year versus previous years is we unfortunately get less of my favorite thing in CFB, which is like a total death scenario of a team's offense from 1 week to the next when the starting quarterback goes out. Because there's so much movement of these teams all across the board, right up and down, P4, high end P4, low end P4, G5. Everyone is able to kind of get a certain level of depth that makes it really difficult to find a situation where you're just out of quarterbacks. Which is like annoying because like those are the best for like prop betting, right? When you know an offense is just totally cooked. Like it's rare you get the Ferrari situation in Utah where you know that 200 yards passing, 150 yards passing is just off the table. Every team can go like 2-3 deep of quarterbacks that can like make the offense actually capable enough to get first downs.
Continue to run. Yeah.
I can count on one hand easily. I think the amount of times we saw it this year, like it was beautiful when Stanford threw out Justin Lamson for a game because we all knew how that was going to go against you guys. But outside of that, there's like maybe 2 or 3 times all year. Whereas like last year, I feel like we had like 10 to 15 of those. So that is like an unfortunate outcome associated with the portal. I think that and Zeno's a good example of that, right? Like he might be QB3 next year at Texas A&M, but like, you can pretty much know that almost whatever happens, their offense is going to be able to move the football.
You can't just bet an under on a receiver and lock into something. Like it's pretty much like with the backup being a relevant player. You got to earn it. We saw it with Lafayette this weekend when they played Marshall and the Fields went down. Yes. I bet Fields under. Thank God. He was way on pace to go over. So thank God he went under. Got hurt. RIP. I hope he's fine. I think it's like I want to say I heard collarbone. I wasn't really watching. But then they put in this true freshman, I think it was, or a freshman. I don't know if he redshirted or not.
Yeah, he had no chance.
And I watched like one play, and I was like, yep, okay, let me go to Underdog and find all these receiver unders. And he was like decent-ish, but no way. Like I don't think any of the guys went under except for went over except for one of like the 3 or 4 options. That was kind of like, did you watch the Clemson SMU game?
On and off, yeah.
So I was watching and I was like, wow, Phil Maffa looks absolutely garbage. And Jay Haynes was like in the game all the time. And so I was like, you know what? I'm having a kind of a tough day. I need to make some of this back. So I started doing like UL player with Maffa under. It was like 40. It was 39.5 rushing yards in the second half. And then did you see the first kickoff of the second half? I'm sitting here with like $500 on Maffa unders. And the first play of the half, kickoff, Jay Haynes tears his ACL.
No, really?
I'm fairly positive it's a torn ACL. It went like he planted, and it wasn't like super stuck in the ground, but the guy hit him from the side, and you could just see his knee go sideways. It was not good. I mean, he couldn't put any pressure on it. They had to walk him off. He tried.
I was wondering. I missed the opening kickoff the second half, but I watched a lot of the third quarter and some of the.
You're like, where is he?
Yeah, I was like, all of a sudden, Moff is on the field all the time. And he's like starting to get he didn't get anywhere near his over, but like he was way more integrated in the game plan. And I was like, yeah, where's Haynes?
I'm telling you, I was like, just my freaking luck. Like you've got to be kidding me. I bet I'm having a tough day, some bad luck, and here it is more. And he was nowhere near. His shoulder's like real fucked up. I would be surprised if he's, I don't know. It's only 2 weeks for Clemson, right? Till they play Texas. Like I would be surprised if he looks like is healthy-ish because like he looked bad, didn't he? He looked real bad.
Maffa, yeah. That my weekend kind of moved the same as yours, I think. Where like conference championship weekend it's one of the most. It's so difficult to beat, generally speaking. Like I would when I played DFS, I would just lose money every single time because it's like so efficient and there's so much data going into it. And I was down with props and stuff for most of the day, but then like there were enough angles on the night slate where I ended up getting into the turning a profit. It was nice with the UL stuff and like Moffitt angle and Bill Davis and all that good shit. Yeah. Like so ended up being a nice weekend for me. Now we're on to bowl season.
Bowl season's where it's at. I'm having a hard time figuring out how to handle this because I have to do parlays playing on Underdog.
Yeah.
Like, the problem is I'm going to have we're going to all have situations where we see, oh, this guy's out. And now like the only guy left in the room is like a guy we know with semi-talented receiver and his line is 19.5 yards. I still have to pair that with something. Whereas you guys can just bet it straight up and you're sitting pretty. So I'm having a hard time figuring out how I want to do it. If I want to do it all that much, I'm curious from your take with how I have to handle things. Would I be better off playing DFS and trying to take advantage of it that way, or just try to gut through it with props, parlay style?
Probably gut through it. I don't know. Like I haven't played DFS seriously in so long. But yeah, like everyone's just gonna be guessing from a props perspective, right? There should be opportunities, even though it's like you're bound to having to parlay stuff. So much of the prop market, I feel like, just gets set through kind of projecting a backup to ascend into the starter's role and like copy paste, which is like rarely the case. I know I got burned really badly on it once last year where the Georgia State guy, Brock, his prop was basically just a copy paste, downgrade a little bit of whoever their RB was last year, who was really good.
Carroll,
yeah. And it was set at like 63 yards, so it's like okay, but like Carroll would have been like pushing 100 probably in that game for a prop, but like still that's like a bit presumptive. I was like, let me hit that under, and he ran for like 280.
Yeah, well, that's how it's a bowl season goes.
But like that is, like I'll play
Chalk
that game
that up,
all day, and most of the time it's gonna be profitable, right?
Yeah.
Because like then you get like it's situations like Bowling Green, Jason Patterson, his prop is set at like 60 against Minnesota, and he gets 2 carries, and it's split between 8 guys.
Right. What do you? I know you don't. I was going to ask you a different angle of this question, but since you don't play DFS as much anymore, do you think props are easier first half of the season or second half of the season?
First, for my style, because I don't really. It's not a data driven approach, right? So, my ROI generally this year as well like decreases as the season goes on. Just week to week, like my volume, like I'm not having to force volume at all. My volume's higher at the beginning of the season. My ROI is better at the beginning of the season. And then like in the past, knock on wood, bowl season's kind of the same. Bowl season is basically a very elongated week 1. It's great. It's the best. It's like so information driven.
Do you think you should be considered a great prop bettor if you're just first to the market and betting first?
So this is
or do you think a great prop bettor is somebody that takes closing lines and is successful?
Yeah. Do you want my cop out answer?
Of course, yeah. And then I want a real answer.
So I don't think it fucking matters. I think that
that ultimately is the case, right?
It's not a beauty pageant. Like we're just trying to make money. At least at the point in like where I am at from a financial perspective, like how much I'm betting, like if the market remains status quo, the laws remain status quo, which they won't, right? Like I have a feeling NJ probably won't have CFB prop betting next year. But if everything was status quo for, let's say, the next 2 years, there's a decent chance that like I might have to think about things very differently, considering like just from in terms of what my outs look like, what my limits look like. Like I'm already pushing up against the point where if I really want to get down on a prop, I can't get. It's difficult for me to get down like more than a few units early in the week. So I need to get like more creative and stuff. So I'm like kind of aging out of the point where I need to like actually where where I can answer the question that I do right now, which is like it doesn't matter because it will matter more and more, I think, like as your unit size increases and how much you're looking
limits
at
too, right?
Yeah, but they're like definitely. I mean, I think it goes without saying that like if you can beat closing line, right, that makes you better.
I would argue it's like 50-50. I think like there's a talent and a skill level to seeing an early line and knowing it's bad and being able to bet it. That's 100% a talent and a skill. And then I also think, right, like there's also the fact that if you can pick 10 or 20 props on a Saturday morning and win 13 and lose 7 or 14 and 6 or something like that, like that's impressive too. I don't think one or the other makes you, great or good or whatever. I will say for those that are like super unaware and maybe don't do props as much as we do, a lot of times books and sites like Underdog will limit you in terms of what you can bet on a Tuesday compared to like a Saturday morning. So like, for instance, even on me and Underdog, I can only bet like 250 on a player or maybe up to 500 on a player up until like Thursday, Friday. And then like the day of the game, it opens up to like 2,000 or 2,500. And even
unless you're Mike.
Unless you're Mike, yeah. Mike gets unlimited everywhere. But he's going to hear this and be pissed because he can't bet anything on Underdog and Prize Picks. But for some reason, he hasn't been limited on FanDuel, which is super odd.
Yes and no. Like the FanDuel is probably the most fair sports book, but like they like haven't dropped the ban hammer, but like still you're talking about like 15% limits relative to like a brand new account.
True. And like we're talking also like people betting between 200 and 800 a prop or a game bet, right? Like that's different than people that bet like 1,000 plus on these types of things, which is like more with like the unabated people that it's insane what they end up betting. It's crazy.
Oh, we got a
Breaking news.
Yeah, Eric Singleton to the portal.
Eric Singleton to the portal. Do you think that's just because he's bagging, or do you think it's because it's like, well, I need to play in like a real offense?
Might be a little bit of the latter. It does feel like his talent could command like a more starring role, right? Like that. So many props to their OC, the next UGA OC, right? Buster Faulkner, for kind of making things work with their offense. But you would imagine Singleton probably could, in another offense, have a much better statistical output.
Yeah, this almost feels like a situation where dominoes could fall, except for the fact that I think Haynes King returns, and Haynes King is like good enough by himself to beat Vanderbilt. So like a line of -2.5 is not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I doubt it'll do anything.
Yeah, it won't do anything domino wise for sure.
I don't think King plays the bull though. I bet they
he just sits it out. Oh, you know what? You're right. He probably gets the shoulder surgery or what have you.
Yeah, and they just let like Philo can play and maintain his red shirt, so they just let him rip it.
And he was pretty solid. I don't think I'm not knocking Haynes King, but like considering the style of offense and 3 weeks of practice, like you could argue that Philo is 75% of King.
He's a true freshman, and he was out there like beating Miami.
Yeah, I mean, it looked good. All things considered.
Yeah, it's gonna be that. I am fascinated to see what they do, what that program is able to do with King and Philo going into 2025. I can't imagine both come back. And outside of that, I feel like no other outcome would surprise me. King transferring, Philo transferring.
I mean, if you look at it from a Georgia Tech angle, if you had money, you would throw money at both and say, just stay Philo. We play a rough style of offense. You're probably going to play some anyways. They don't have that type of money, so it's different. You would think that Georgia Tech would do what everybody else does, which is, hey, old guy, you don't have to go home, but you have to get out of here. And then you let King
is like they love King.
He kind of embodies what they're trying to do at Georgia Tech. So it'd be hard to push him out. It's not like a Will Howard or Dylan Gabriel. Like, Gabriel was there 1 year or 2 years, and then Howard was there, but Kansas State wasn't like the Will Howard show where everything matters. King is definitely different compared to those guys.
He dies on the field for that team.
What do you think happens with our Lord and Savior John Mateer?
Oh man! So right before we got on, I was mentioning to you, I was looking at a line and thinking about betting. I'm interested. So they play Syracuse in the bowl game, and the total's at 61.5 right now. I think I'm gonna bet the under because I think that there's a pretty good chance that neither McCord or Mateer play in that game. And who's McCord's backup at Syracuse?
It's not
a tight end this time, right?
It's not a tight end. It is a guy named Michael Johnson Jr.,
the Penn State FAU kid.
Yeah,
and I assume today at some point we get the Zevi Eckhouse transfer portal notification, and then they are on to Jackson Potter if that's the case. If Mateer leaves as well, who has gotten some good things said about him, but I think he's still like a freshman. I think he's a redshirt freshman with no experience. So 61.5 feels presumptive from a total. Yeah, and McCord sounded very iffy on if he's actually going to play in the bowl game. So if dominoes fall the right way, that total could be 10 points lower, I think.
Yeah. It needs Zevi to leave because I think Zevi's way serviceable enough to produce.
Who's running that offense?
So I don't know. So here's the thing, right? Zevi is 100% redshirting, right? They essentially announced it, right? Mid-season.
Yeah.
Now, did he redshirt to stay or did he redshirt?
Right.
Good question. That's the question.
But also, if he redshirted to stay, did he redshirt to stay and play for Ben Arbuckle?
Yeah, now it's like this weird flow of like, chart graph thing here. Yeah, so my guess is he redshirted. I don't know. That's tough, right? Because Mateer is not going pro. It never was like this year. I would think he was redshirting to stay, but now it's like, well, are you redshirting? Were you redshirting to stay with Arbuckle, right?
Yeah.
I would think he's gone. If I had a gun to my head, I think he's gone.
I think so too.
Because he's not a state guy. Like he came from what? Bryant?
I always confuse the source school of him and Tyler Huff. One of them's Bryant. I think the other
Huff is Furman.
Yeah, Furman. Yeah. So then, Zebby's Bryant.
Yeah, I'm curious where Zebby goes. Zebby was the guy that I took in some dynasty, and I was like, well, I'm just going to keep him because injury plus transfer portal, I guess. But
right.
We'll see if it actually works out. Well, actually, you see this news about Carson Beck that just broke, torn UCL, aka I think that's Tommy John, right?
Who was it?
Carson Beck.
Did that come out?
Yeah, it just hit.
Really?
The program is multiple sources in around the Georgia Bulldog football program is Carson Beck has a UCL elbow injury. Will miss the Sugar Bowl. Yeah, no.
That's not hitting my push notifications. Are you?
That's from Zach Klein, WSB. That's local ABC.
Okay. I mean, not optimal, but I
thought you were like, man, who Carson Beck? I don't know who that is. But you could have gone down a funny angle there. But yeah.
The SEC title game being played at 4 p.m. basically makes it so every year I'm not going to be able to pay much attention to it. Like, it's just not going to happen. I like it. It's not during nap time. It's not prime time. Like, trying to get, like, it's like just getting ready for dinner and bedtime type deal with the kids. So
you got to move down south, man. I went to a friend's house, and every single one of them was a Georgia fan. They had 100 kids running around. You got to move down south.
Sounds awesome. What was I going to say? Oh, like maybe Beck's the problem. Like, what the fuck is? I don't understand why Georgia is like the way they are this year. Like, why can't we just come out and proactively play a decent game from the jump? Both on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. I don't know. Gunnar Stockton, I assume he didn't actually look good, right?
Depends on who you ask. Are you asking a Georgia fan or a college football fan?
College football fan.
I think he looked good to start because Texas had not planned for a mobile quarterback, and so he looked good. They also scripted him good plays. They had some good coaching moments there, like quick. The first play or the second play was essentially an ATN run, but it was like a swing out wide. That was like an easy pass. Then they gave him another easy pass. Then he kind of looked good for a little bit. And I think Texas then realized, oh, if we just blitz him, he has no idea what the hell to do. Like that interception that he threw to a ghost.
That looked bad.
They just, I mean, like, I don't know how you throw that. Like, no good quarterback throws that.
Yeah.
Stockton will be interesting because he'll have a couple weeks to prepare as like the guy. But then also at the other side of things, the team they played gets to prepare for a mobile quarterback. I think he'll have a hard time because of the skill players that Georgia has. And by that, I just mean the lack of skill players.
Right. Yeah, it's not great.
And I think there are ways you could say that it's better that you have Stockton at quarterback. Because like if Beck's just going to throw 1 to 2 interceptions and be inefficient throwing the football, like at least you get a mobile guy at quarterback.
Yeah, we'll worry about it in a few weeks.
We'll see. Do you think? What do you think Beck does in 2025 then? Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
What could his draft stock possibly be at this point?
It can't be great, especially. I mean, if he was not injured, he would have been like second or third rounder at best. Like at best.
Yeah.
So now he has the elbow injury and potentially the severity of it. That's a tough one.
Perhaps it's Rashada season.
It's not Rashada season. I mean, you saw that the last play of the game, Georgia brought in Beck to take the snap, right?
Really?
Dude, yeah. By the way, I bet Beck overs in the second half.
No way.
And that was like I'm not kidding you. This is why I was telling you I was cursed the whole day. like 5 minutes before he got injured. And I'm like, this is awful because he's going to either gut it out and be awful or he's just going to be a push. Underdog actually, props to him. They essentially rescued him. They canceled him. But he came in the final play, Stockton right before it. They called it targeting, but his helmet popped off. 100% was concussed. And he had to come off the field because it wasn't a penalty. And so I'm not lying. Go look it up. Beck came in. He was dragging his arm, like literally not trying to hide it. Couldn't put anything on it. He had iced his elbow mid third quarter. And he goes in there and he hands it off with his left hand. I don't know. I said something in Slack. I was like, wow, that's like kind of damning that they would rely on a left-handed Beck over a two-handed Rashada.
So he hands it off to ETN and ETN scores.
To his left. Yeah, he hands it off to the left and just kind of gave it to him. I'm with his left hand up. By the way, Texas, complete idiots. They're not throwing the football. What are you doing? And they definitely did not look like they had any idea what to do.
That's wild. So wow, you bet overs.
It was like $1.30, and I thought for sure game script would push them.
Did anyone bet second half unders? And does it get paid out in that instance?
If it was a second half under, see, the thing was they rescued him at like the beginning of the fourth quarter. Like I noticed they had kind of gave him the rescue at the start of the fourth quarter. So I bet you they would have done the same thing if you had an under, but I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know. We're not talking playoffs, obviously, because that's just not where we go. Is there like a fun matchup that you like?
From just bowl season in general?
We'll go largely bowl season, yeah.
I mean, it's annoying it's at 4 p.m., but because North Texas State should be like at 9:30 on a Wednesday, but it kicks at 4 o'clock, whatever day of the week it is, which is like, that game's going to be so much fun, though.
That's a Friday at 4 p.m. Yeah, it's the warm-up to the Minnesota-Virginia Tech game. Bama Michigan is hilarious to me. Like the fact that Bama's won the first team out and their consolation trophy is the Relia Quest Bowl is freaking hilarious to me.
Yeah, it's annoying that you guys don't have to play in the quick lane, but
you missed it just barely. I will say like Army is in a pretty bummed spot, right? Like they're gonna probably finish the year like what 13-1, 12-1 or whatever.
Yeah,
and they're gonna play in the Independence Bowl against Marshall. That's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, and I assume there's like some auto, well, maybe not for them, but like auto destinations for service academy type deal. Like Navy is in the one that is like named after the service academies. I forget what it's called, the Military Bowl, maybe. So, but at full strength, Marshall versus Army would have been fairly compelling, but hopefully it's not. This one isn't. Dude, speaking of like letdowns, can you imagine being TCU, going to play in freaking like probably frigid New Mexico against Louisiana? Like no one wants to do that.
Nobody wants to do that. They're 10-point favorites. I would say, yeah, like this is a good spot to hit Louisiana, but if they're on this Dealey guy, the third stringer, then there's no shot I would ever bet that game.
I was thinking about betting TCU, but like this is like the Dykes is salivating at the team just not showing up for a bowl game and like somehow losing by 3 to the third stringer.
Where I don't, not that they won't show up, but I think the cold will really mess with them is this SMU Penn State game. Like obviously they'll be up for it, but like SMU ain't ready for that cold, right?
How do you have feelings about a noon whiteout?
I mean, whiteout's cool, period. I don't think it has to be night, but it's multiple. Yeah. It's just so much better at night.
Yeah, I feel like there's some effect that's lost if it's not
it's not as drastic of a look, right? Like the darkness helps with pop the white, but I don't know.
Yeah,
it's so cool. I mean, it's better than doing like an S in the. I guess will they do the S, their block S that they do in the end zone with it? I don't know. The bowl game that nobody should watch, but we will watch because it's the only game at 2:30 on a Monday. Iowa at Missouri. At Missouri. Iowa against Missouri in Nashville.
I bet Missouri.
Of course you did.
Money line, just as it was as a pick 'em. I was like, Iowa. They're starting that CSU QB again, and they just had another QB enter the portal, the Marco Lainez guy. So if something happens to Stratton, shit's really weird. But they're obviously down Caleb Johnson. I assume Burden doesn't play in this game, right? Like, there's no way. But
who?
Luther Burden.
Oh, Luther Burden. Yeah, he's not playing.
Yeah,
he's not playing the.
Brady Cook doesn't strike me as the guy who's just gonna not play in that game, but
he'll play. Even if he doesn't play, to me, Drew Pine is good enough. Good enough.
Yeah.
Although the Iowa matchup is tough. The Iowa matchup is tough. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
How weird is BYU Colorado in the Alamo Bowl?
Definitely weird. Apparently Colorado guys are playing, but
which guys?
I was thinking more how much are they playing?
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, I don't know if you're Shedeur Sanders, like right off into the sunset, man. You look great this year. Like, why would you do that? You know?
His dad's coaching.
Yeah. His dad's coaching one more game, is what you mean to say.
What do you think?
If you ask my dad, he's going to go coach the Cowboys and ultimately coach his son, Shedeur, in the NFL, because the Cowboys are going to pick Shedeur.
Do you think
Papa K right there?
I've trying to like not do too much betting after CFB this year and like be a little better about it than last year. Last year I said I was going to take like a 5-month break and didn't really. But the one bet that I've been making over and over is Travis Hunter to go number 1. Shedeur's like now it's between the two of them in the betting markets basically, but Shedeur is like better than 50% favorite. Like, does he really go number 1? That like I don't understand.
It's who's there. Like who's number 1
is that really how it works with the number 1 overall pick though? Like
I will say there are teams that cannot possibly roll out the quarterback that they currently have. And considering how it is, like it's almost better to be like, you know what, I'm taking a shot at quarterback because I want to wait another year. And if he sucks, I'm a year faster to that realization than waiting another year of sucking. And then he sucks, like the guy that you pick. Like if you're Vegas or the Giants, you have to take Shedeur.
That's so wild. Like it's not going to work.
I mean, it kind of worked with these other teams, right? Like if you're the Commanders, it worked.
Yeah, I was a Jaden skeptic, but
if you're the Patriots, it worked.
Well, I don't think it is fair at all to like Drake May is not like they're not comparable at all. Drake May is a transcendent quarterback. Shedeur can't stop getting sacked. Wow. Comes with like who wants to deal with the Sanders family and like I don't know, dude.
It's different for sure. I think the biggest difference is that like if you put Shedeur and Cam Ward in last year's class, where do they get ranked thing?
Yeah.
They get ranked. They get drafted before Bo Nix for sure, maybe before JJ McCarthy. And then I think I would say at the very best case, they're QB 4 or 5, right? Like they're definitely behind the big 3 and they would be at or behind Penix McCarthy. So I just think you have to, my team's got a quarterback, so I'm good. But like,
yeah,
I think if you're Vegas, especially considering Shedeur's tweets all the time now, have you seen all that stuff? His Instagram and stuff. He's always tweeting about like Allegiant Stadium and how it's like heaven and stuff like that.
What is Allegiant Stadium?
That's where the Raiders play. He is outwardly basically saying like, I want to play for the Raiders.
That's funny.
Which, by the way, is the perfect fit. Like, you're like, don't want to deal with the Sanders family. Like, Al Davis 100% deals with the Sanders family. He has zero issue with that. I mean, he takes the most raw upside guys, period, just because it's cool and flashy. Like, he is taking Shedeur Sanders.
All right. Enough of this shit where I have to pretend that I actually know what I'm talking about with NFL. Okay. Let's get back to the brand. Did you watch any Hawaii, New Mexico?
No, way past my bedtime, dude.
Yeah, no, I was following it on a score for a while. I was on vacation, and like for Thanksgiving, we got an Airbnb, and I didn't feel quite comfortable enough with the idea of like downloading that app that you need to watch the Hawaii games on Spectrum on the host's TV. So I was just following it on like score tracking app, and obviously Ohio was lighting it up. I went to bed about a quarter in, but I found a full 3.5 hour. I haven't been able to find like a quick cut up of like a 30-minute cut up of the game on YouTube, but like there's a full. There's no. It's gonna get copyright killed at some point. But like a full 3 hour and change YouTube recording of the game, and I'm like a quarter in, and I both happy and like so annoyed that I only have Alejado on 2 of my dynasty teams instead of all of them. Like that dude, I don't know. Like I don't know what's too early for next year in CFF drafts, but I'm all in.
It's probably whatever you're thinking is probably too high.
Probably.
I just don't know how much I can trust Hawaii. Even they like Pofeli Ashlock was like so disappointing, and I don't care that Shager was awful. We knew Shager was awful going into the year.
Yeah.
System doesn't necessarily play out. Like you need Alejado to be good, like very solid.
He runs the offense like that's actually supposed to be ran. Like dude just drips with confidence and command. And he can drop the ball in the bucket. He has more zip on the ball than I thought he would. Do you know he's lefty? You probably did, right?
I heard he was lefty, yeah. But maybe stock down him.
Yeah, stock down, but stock back up because he can actually rip the ball. And he's got like really, really good accuracy. So I haven't gotten far enough in the game to really see him run it yet, which he apparently did based on the box score, but very much in.
5'10", 180. I don't know. That doesn't scare me at all. I don't know. As long as Hawaii has a mid-schedule, like awful schedule.
You know what? I already looked into it. Only 12 games so far. Hopefully they get the 13th. By the way, next year's another double bye year. Did you know this?
Is it really?
Yeah. Ugh. First game, week 0, August 23rd.
August 23rd. Shut up.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That's incredible.
Hawaii, you know how they always do like 4 non-con at least, 5 if they do 13. But they've got 4 non-con scheduled so far. You're not pulling it up, are you? Because I wanted to quiz you.
I have it up.
Oh,
sorry.
So we can't play a game. But that's nice. Stanford and Arizona, like you can't ask for much better for P4 games.
I mean, Stanford's about as good as it gets. Week 0, I mean, they were atrocious against the pass last year.
Obviously, that's not helpful for a lot of what we do with season-long CFF, right? You would have liked that game in the season, probably.
Yeah, but that's true. Yeah. I mean, they're going to have an awful schedule next year. They don't even have anything marked besides the non-con.
No, most of these conferences haven't released schedules. So I believe is Big Ten not releasing this Wednesday? Did I make that up?
Somebody else. I think SEC isn't it?
I don't know.
I think Big Ten's already been announced. Like if we've already, because remember we've talked about Indiana.
Oh yeah. But I think that the actual dates of the games for
the dates I think are going.
Yeah.
So my dad somehow, some way is an Alabama fan. He likes to say it's because he went to Michigan State, is a 100% Michigan State fan, but he likes to call Bama one of his favorite teams because of Saban, because like he coached at Michigan State and then he coached at Alabama, so
that's crazy.
He links himself to Alabama. I'm like, dude, if you're upset about Indiana this year, just wait till next year, dude. It doesn't get any better. It doesn't get any better. It's incredible how bad that schedule is.
Is it?
We've talked about this. They don't. They play. It's better. I should say it's more difficult. They do play at Penn State, at Oregon, so I'll give them that. At Iowa. Wow, I forgot about those 3. But they don't play anybody besides that. It's Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, Indiana State. It's pretty weak.
They Salter's visiting them, right?
That's the rumor. Yeah, Salter's visiting them in Syracuse and somebody else. Somebody else that was
Colorado, Florida State. He's doing all the hits. I was kind of hoping they'd roll out Taven Jackson, but I guess it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Do you think Taven Jackson? Someone maybe said Taven Jackson to Colorado. Would that be cool?
Yeah, like I don't know. Like, what is there? There's so much unknown with like what's going on with Colorado in 2025, right?
Right, Deion Shermer and all that. Here's a question. I saw something, and I saw a post about all these different places that need quarterbacks and what quarterback goes to them, and I will say 95% of it was very, very good on Twitter. Very, very good post. There was one that I think was just the absolute worst selection.
Was this James?
This was James. Which one do you think it was?
I only skimmed through it, and I had a reply about trying. Oh, was it the Sluka one?
Sluka to Colorado cannot possibly be any.
Yeah,
sort of
I replied and was like, dude, we're sending Sluka to play for Rich Rod at West Virginia. Obviously,
that is an incredible fit. Yes, but Sluka at Colorado,
yeah. But
did you see he snuck in Wisconsin on a completely unrealistic option?
What did he do?
Oh, I gotta find it. And by the way, if for some reason somehow James actually listens to this show, I am not making fun of your post. You nailed it for like 95% of it. Truly,
yeah, he gave us content.
John Mateer.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, he goes, I think he's the highest seeded quarterback once in the portal. Miami and Oklahoma make sense here. Even Alabama would love for Wisconsin to get aggressive. Everything else is spot on. I'm not laughing at you, James. I apologize. But that in Sluka is just way off. I think everybody else you nailed. Castellanos to like Missouri or Florida State's cool. Fafita Miami is cool. Quinn Ewers Ohio State, like as wild as that sounds, I could see it happening. Dampier to Utah, all this stuff makes sense. But those two, I just love the fact that's so on brand. That's like such a CFF on brand type comment. Is like sneaking in your team on the most unrealistic option of a transfer.
Of course.
Like Juan Soto's 100% considering the Detroit Tigers. That's like me doing that. Like, ain't no way, buddy. But what's a bowl game? I know we watch all bowl games here. We do. We love them all. I told a friend this weekend, stop talking shit on these bowl games because there are people that care about them. But there's one bowl game like I am not going to watch, and I would like actively ignore after what they did to me this weekend. Do you have a guess as to who that is, or maybe I guess who is that for you? Bowl game.
After what they did to you this weekend, UNLV Cal?
No, that actually seems pretty cool. Although UNLV is definitely like the one that made me think, yeah, maybe some teams aren't built for the cold. So that's why I think SMU is toast against Penn State. But Miami, Ohio against Colorado State.
Mm-hmm.
I will never watch another moment of Miami, Ohio football after what they did this past weekend.
Yeah, I'm happy that I was not able to watch that game.
I bet overs on Kate. My whole weekend, somehow, some way, my weekend was dependent on Mosey overs and McDonald overs, and they didn't even sniff it. And so that matchup against Colorado State is just awful to begin with. And my hatred for the Red Hawks means I will not even consider watching them.
Yeah, it's going to be really bad.
Pop-Tarts Bowl is pretty cool. I like Iowa State, Miami. It feels like a fun one. Although, I mean, who's the backup quarterback for Miami?
Cam Ward's supposedly playing.
You think so?
He's had a...
We'll see. I think that's one that if you bet right now it's Miami -1. I almost want to say like just take Iowa State money line. I think it's a decent shot they win to begin with. And that line, if Cam Ward leaves, that line is moving fast.
Right. Reese is already in the portal as well. So I guess Emory Williams would be the guy. So that wouldn't be good.
Yeah, it would not. It would not be good. Oklahoma Navy to me is a funny matchup. Just funny, just to consider. What about your boys, Rutgers against Kansas State? That's a pretty interesting matchup.
Where is that played?
It's the Rate Bowl in Phoenix.
That's
at a baseball stadium.
That's interesting. I don't know. I can't bet Rutgers games in New Jersey, so I never even like give consideration to them through a fantasy lens outside of like trying to get Monangai in season long stuff. But that, I think it should be a game. It should be fun.
So Nakos just shared kind of like a information on portal rumors. I'm gonna leave, and this is shared by Nate. I don't know where he got it. Maybe it was a tweet, maybe it was not. This is incredible, and I want to go through all the different ones he mentions, Nakos, and I want your opinion. So Florida State's your early leader for Castellanos. Makes sense, right?
With Gus? That would be awesome.
It'd be interesting.
They're like, why are they so hell-bent on just trying a 1-year fixture? Like,
I think that's a team that needs a quarterback for a couple years. But Castellanos, does he have 2 years left or 1?
It's not just like a quarterback. Like the idea that they're going to bring in Barry and Brown. Like, did you not learn from your mistakes? Like, why are you bringing these receivers who have proven that they suck?
Well, I mean, when you dig yourself into such a hole where you have no receivers, kind of the only way to fix it in your mind would be Syracuse is interested in Darian Mensah. Makes sense. I don't think he's a runner as much as he could be like a potential cool passer, right?
It's insane that, the part of the corner of the Ohio State fan base that I align with and spend a lot of time listening to and sometimes interacting with talks all the time about one of the things that we see time over time with the staff there is like they can't manage the 4-game redshirt rule. Like, they screw it up all the time, and these guys who should just should have no business playing 5 games end up playing 5 and losing their redshirt year. Like, how did Ohio State possibly screw up McCord in not getting him a redshirt one of his first 2 years, and that he's out of eligibility? There's no reason for that.
Well, you know why? It's because, as I've been saying this week, they have top 5 talent and top 100 coaching.
Yeah, it's right.
They're idiots. Yeah. LSU leading for Barry Brown.
I could act. Sorry, Mensah at Syracuse. So I, of course, see all the tweets from so many of our CFF people that like talking up Mensah. I don't think I've watched him at all this year. Like, are you a fan?
He's fine. He's young enough where it's like he looked good his first year starting as a young guy. I thought, like, as a redshirt freshman, not a freshman. I think he's fine. I think he's good. He could turn into something better. I haven't watched a ton of them, but besides like this, I watched the Army game, so like that's not the best indication of. But I thought at times he looked good.
Yeah. That just seeing what they did this year schematically and how it was a total 180 relative to what I expected when they were bringing in like a guy who had only been a running backs coach to be their OC. And now they threw the ball like 80% of the time. Like, yeah, like whoever their quarterback is, like at minimum interested, right? But so let's just say over the next couple of years, like I assume you've seen before and after photos of like Kirby Smart from like a few years ago. It looks like, dude, you know how like we get the before and after photos of like President of the United States after office, before office, and what that does, like that's how Kirby looks. Like how he's aging as the coach of the Dogs. Let's just say he hangs it up in a couple of years. Dude, I would fucking love to get Fran Brown back in Georgia and let him run the program. Like that dude is fucking awesome.
He's awesome. He's done an incredible job.
Jersey boy too. He's from like that dude. He's from like Camden in NJ, like not my neck of the woods at all, but like as someone who lives in the city, like let's go. Like he could, like he had that reputation coming into Syracuse is like when he comes in to recruit you, it's over, like you're signing type deal. It actually
he gets you.
It makes sense. Like that dude can resonate with anyone, just by like not even through the lens of like, oh, I could just put on a different hat and like talk to like code switch and shit like that. Like I think he's just like so charismatic and like just like so appealing to like when you talk to him. Like you can see why he's an amazing recruiter.
Yeah. LSU leading for Barian Brown. That's fine. Whatever. Conversely, Nebraska leading for CJ Daniels. Interesting because like I think that passing offense could be better next year. Bama and A&M are in on Casey Concepcion. Okay. I mean, Bama quarterback situation is interesting to debate. But the reason why I brought this up is for two reasons. It's just so good. UAB is leading or is in on Hank Brown, which whatever. But of course, Auburn needs a quarterback. So who are they looking to? They are leading for Ashton Daniels.
Oh, the honor and privilege?
The honor and privilege of Ashton Daniels. How ridiculous is that? Like if oh my God, if Hugh Freeze signs Ashton Daniels as his starting quarterback, like you can pretty much say he's going to get fired, right?
Andrew Luck comes back to Stanford. First order of business is just kicking to the curb Lamson and Ashton Daniels. Sorry, sirs. Your scholarships are not being renewed.
What did I miss with Andrew Luck?
He's now the general manager of Stanford football.
Shut up. What a great hire. Yeah, look at that. Good for him. I mean, incredibly smart and talented, obviously, player and person. That's awesome. Yeah, that's not a good sign. It's kind of like, I mean, it's way too early to call him like a Billy Bean of sorts, right? But it's like, if they don't want this guy, why don't they want this guy? You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think if Auburn gets Ashton Daniels, I don't think they're going bowling again. But you can best believe I will be drafting him in best balls in the 27th round.
Naturally. So who's you guys got Deuce Knight, right? Is that official?
I think so, yeah.
Is the Walker White era dead? The guy was like the number 7 recruit in the country.
I don't know, dude. It's kind of interesting that he like never played.
From like day one, every time his name was brought up, it was just like whoever was being interviewed like in the media was just like, yeah, he's not ready. Like he's a true freshman. He's not going to see field. Like that is the paradigm from the previous era, right? That is not the paradigm for the present era where like true freshman, highly touted recruit, oh, you're just not going to see the field. Like that speaks to you, your development, your ability to some degree or whatever, right? Like that is not the expectation, I think, for like that level of recruit. When you're, especially one who he was on campus early, wasn't he? He enrolled spring.
Doesn't matter if there's no way like your name can't even be like there's like it was like he was put in witness protection. You know, it was like where is this guy?
Yeah,
you're completely right. In 2010, yeah, he's not ready. Cool, totally makes sense. 2024, we got guys leading the country or conferences or near in it in receiving and shit like that. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. Like something is obviously wrong here, especially considering Hugh Freeze's offense is like partially run quarterback left, run quarterback right. Like it can't possibly be that difficult to translate.
Does he enter the portal today or tomorrow?
I don't think he enters the portal personally, but I mean, you never know. Deuce Knight, maybe he's not as intimidating. I don't know. Did you see Herb Street's kid signed?
What are we like? Sign as in?
I think it's like a verbal. I think he's 2025, so it was like a verbal commit.
No, like signed as in like is receiving a football scholarship or was admitted to the university.
I think it's a football scholarship. He's a 3-star.
Oh, he's actually got a football rating?
He's got a football rating somehow.
I thought that Herb Street's kids were like destined to be like Clemson
Sweeney
walk-ons.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, but apparently not. Apparently not. For those that are not aware, he committed to Michigan, which is quite hilarious in itself.
Yeah.
I don't know. Final one. Devin Dampier is obviously an incredible fit or option that makes sense for Utah, right? Like the OC from New Mexico went there, would make sense for him to stay West Coast, follow the same OC. Did you see that Vanderbilt is pushing for Dampier?
Was that I was just gonna ask you when you brought up his name, what if you'd see anything in terms of the specs, because like someone tweeted it was like he was looking at Big 12 and SEC, right? But Vanderbilt's like the SEC one.
That's apparently it. I mean, this is just part of that like per NACOS or NACOS.
That it's interesting in the sense that like what we just saw like with Pavia and that front office and the people they have there and whatever. But like, is that actually an interesting system, or is it like, was it? I don't know. Pavia, was he good in fantasy this year?
He was pretty solid. It wasn't incredible, but like, I mean, you would have wanted him on underdog. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That if he ends up at Vanderbilt, it will be very interesting to see what that looks like in fantasy. Like,
it's not going to be the same because Pavia was just a bulldozer that like sacrificed his body. Dampier can't do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Pavia he averaged 22.5 fantasy points. I don't know the scoring of this format. Even if it's 6-point passing touchdowns, it's not going to make a difference. But he had 23 fantasy points 7 times in 12 games.
His main contribution to fantasy this year, I think, was every week he would get his rushing prop set, and then there'd be rumors about him being hurt and banged up, and I would play his under, and then he would go over.
Of course. I mean, you got to know better, though. Like, that guy is a warrior. He ain't.
Yeah.
He's not letting an injury affect him.
Right.
So, all right, we're at our time. Any final thoughts?
I'm sure we'll talk next week. So by that point, let's see here. We'll be through the triumvirate of the events on Saturday. We've got the awards on this Thursday, so I'll be downtrodden when that disgusting excuse for a tight end at Penn State is gifted the Mackey Award, right? This deal is complete. So I'll be in a sour mood probably the 5 days following that when we next talk. But outside of maybe we'll end up talking before the next bowl game, right, of Memphis, West Virginia, when things start to like kick off in earnest, right? We got the South Alabama, Western Michigan game Saturday night, and then Tuesday is when things really get cooking. We got games pretty much every day then for the next few weeks. So exciting times.
It's great times. Bowl games are fun for all the different reasons. There's conjecture and people making conspiracy theories and leading to different things here with the different players and coaches. We'll catch you guys next week, though. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Enjoy the Army-Navy game and the first bowl game of the season. And we'll catch you guys next week.